Hindsight is 2020. Youth is wasted on the young. Life only makes sense in the rearview mirror. I don't know, all these sayings out there. Today, I'm going to talk about my past. A little scary, but I'm going to talk about the investment decisions I've made up to this point in my life. I'm 38 years old. Maybe by the end of this, you won't be so embarrassed at some of the decisions you made. So I'm going to talk about first the decisions I made. Glad I did them. The first thing was, I was actually very lucky that I graduated with zero student debt. I did get a little bit of help from my parents. My parents paid for half of my tuition. A lot of people hear that and go, well, whatever. They write me off. Now, I worked the entire time I was in college. I was able to get a really good job out of high school. I worked in a factory making a lot of money for an 18-year-old. And I was also an intern at a major corporation while I was in school making good money. Now, with that being said, 2 days a week, I had to drive an hour away, work all day, come home, do homework till midnight, all of those things. It was a lot of work. So I don't want to paint the picture that what I did was impossible, because it wasn't. And I also don't want to paint the picture that I didn't have some help, because I did. But I graduated with zero student debt. I commuted for 2 years, did all these things. By graduating with zero student debt, I feel like I was leaps and bounds ahead of my peers. Instead of having this giant weight holding me back, I was able to hit the ground running, saving money for a house, start investing right after college, all of these things. I realize not everybody can do this, but is it a leg up if you can? I'll also tell the story of my wife. My wife, she didn't have any help paying for her tuition, really. So when she graduated, she had, I think, just south of $40,000 in student debt. I think this is very common nowadays. Back then, that was actually on the higher end of student debt. But she worked her tail off for about 3 years, lived in a crummy apartment, had roommates, drove a crummy car, ate out of soup cans, used to call her my hobo girlfriend, all of these things. But she paid off her student debt in 3 years. $40,000 in student debt in 3 years. And you might be thinking, well, she must have some amazing job. Not really. I think her salary is about $40,000. So it is possible. Next one. Started tracking my expenses pretty early on. I have a spreadsheet that dates back to 2014. I was 26, 27 at the time. That's pretty young. And I realize I'm a nerd, but I tell you what, being able to track my expenses every single month, it gave me an amazing idea of where my money was going and where I could cut back on things. I'm a huge fan of that. Next one, live below my means. I got a corporate job out of college, making pretty decent money. I think my first salary was $43,000. I lived in a house with several roommates. I was paying, I remember, $212 a month. I didn't have a car payment for a few years. I told you I had zero student debt. The main thing is I would eat out occasionally, but really lived well below what I was making and was able to invest the excess at that time. It seems pretty simple, but at that age, it's easy to get carried away, especially with your first big boy, big girl job. Live below your means, invest the excess. Next thing I think was big, I chose a career with earning potential. There's a lot of thoughts on what people should do in their life as far as what they do for work. Some people say follow your passion. Some people say chase opportunity. I'm more of the chase opportunity. I found something I enjoyed. Didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. But I worked in a corporate office, and there was a lot of potential for growth, for getting promotions and things like that. And I think that was really important, especially early on. Like I told you, I think I started out at $43,000, but I was able to make some pretty good jumps there within the first 5 years in salary in order to increase my earnings and then therefore increase how much I was investing. It's really important if you want to get ahead from investing, you got to have more income. It's pretty simple, really. So choose a career that at least has some potential for increasing your earnings. I never carried credit card debt. I think there's been once or twice where I just, I didn't have enough money in my bank account, so I missed a payment or something like that. But outside of that, I've never had credit card debt, and I'm very proud of that. Credit score reflects that. There's a lot of benefits there, but really it's more of just the behavior of I never overspent at any time to the point where, man, I can't afford to pay this off in any given month. I think part of that is always having that emergency fund if I knew big purchases were going to be made into the future. But carrying zero credit card debt, huge plus. I didn't make buying a home an emotional decision. A lot of people want to own a home and they have this picture in their mind of what it's going to look like and all these things. And people find the house of their dreams and then they overspend. They just throw all sorts of logic to the side. I've never been that person. My wife and I, when we were looking for a house, I'll admit, I was tough to be with at that point because I didn't let any emotional decision enter into the equation. It was like, no, this isn't the right house and this is why, it's a bad price, all these things. And I was frustrating, but eventually we found a house that we both love and we found it at a good price and also a good interest rate. And I will say kind of a caveat, not a caveat, but sort of an offshoot of this is that I refinanced in 2021 when interest rates were really low. Huge win there. 2.375 is our interest rate on our mortgage. You'll likely never see that again. So very happy with that decision. Did take a fair amount of trips. My family, brothers, not huge trip takers. They've become more as we've gotten older. But when I was younger, took a lot of trips, went on a cruise, went to Colorado. I would go up north every year. These things I think are really important. And when you're looking at them from a purely financial sense, you're saying, man, that's expensive, but it's hard to put a price on those memories that you're getting there. So love the trips we took. And I started investing as early as I could. I probably should have started more when I was in college, but as I told you, I wanted to make sure I didn't have any student debt. I was building up kind of a nest egg. Didn't invest a whole lot in college, but as soon as I got out of college, started hammering money into that 401k. Great decision there. It's really paid off now that I'm, 16 years later. All right, those are all the good things. And you're thinking, oh man, he's kind of on his high horse thinking he did everything perfect. Absolutely not. I did all sorts of things wrong. Hopefully this helps you. If it does, please check in with my next video. Thanks for tuning in.